Please forgive me if I act a little strange, for I know not what I do. Feels like lightning running through my veins every time I look at you. Every time I look at you. And here we are.
Here we are.
Another That album, another Friday afternoon or evening.
Well, it is the early evening now for some people. I mean, times are there.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And to everyone in the audience, welcome. And it's lovely to be back again for another show. Another LinkedIn glitch, I'm afraid. It should have been an hour earlier, but for whatever reason, it alerted me that it had changed itself within LinkedIn. So there seem to be a whole host of glitches at the moment with going live. But yeah, so here we are. White Ladder, David Gray. It's funny, I'd forgotten this album. You know, it was something that I listened to when it came out and bought a copy. Everybody bought a copy of this, didn't they? And yeah, and then when you said, "Oh, let's do White Ladder," I thought, yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
It's one of those albums that just sneaked up on everyone. As you said, everybody bought it, and then David Gray disappeared. But it's always been one of them. He's still on the go yet, but he's never reached the heights again, and everybody's like, oh, but it's still an album. When you hear it, your songs, you'll hear it, you go, click, and that'll take you right back to that time.
Yeah, well, Tim commented when I posted about this. He commented, "Oh, I remember where I was first time I heard this," and it is kind of one of those albums, isn't it? That I think because it was like so many that we've done in the show, it was kind of ubiquitous. You know, you would hear it everywhere. It was always playing in the shops that you went into, and you couldn't really get away from it.
No. I mean, it was at that time when there was a lot of radio play, and as people can remember, radio, and listening to music actually on radios, or they heard it everywhere. It was one of that, especially Babylon, the song, it was never off the radio. Or if you watched MTV, it was never off MTV. And it was just one of those songs everybody really heard.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe, isn't it, that it's 25 years ago. So 1998, yeah, I remember that well. The year I got married. Again, Good Friday Agreement. BMW acquired Rolls-Royce. The first RFID human implant was tested, which is amazing, isn't it? Given that we're still testing RFID human implants. DVD was launched in 1998.
Wow.
So Nigella Lawson's How to Eat cookbook came out. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets was published. Cozy Powell, Catherine Cookson, and Lou Gray died. No one of any great interest was born, from what I can see. But some great music: Mezzanine, Ray of Light, Moon Safari, You've Come a Long Way, Fatboy Slim. I've Been Expecting You, Robbie Williams, Up, REM, and This Is My Truth, Tell Me Yours, the Manics. So some great music.
It was a great era for music, the 90s, if you actually look back. And there was so much diversity in the music, and a lot of it was all British.
Yeah.
So it was a massive renaissance in the British music scene in that time.
Yeah, and this was really really interesting because nothing really like this had come out from what I remember.
No, it was a first. I mean, there was nothing at the scene at the time. You always had your rock bands, and you had your dance groups, and your boy bands and girl bands. This was something that was so left field that no one knew what to call it. But it was so fresh. that has spawned so many others from it.
Yeah. So this was launched in 1998, but it was relaunched in the early 2000s. And it became the 5th best-selling album of the 2000s.
Yeah, it was actually had 3 launches.
Did it really?
Yes, he launched it in 1998, and that was on his own record label.
Yeah.
And then it didn't get any airplay until 1999 when it was released through Dave Matthews.
Right.
He was touring with Dave Matthews. He was the support band for Dave Matthews, and then Dave Matthews got him on his record label, and then it got more airplay from that, and then it was released in the UK in 1999, and it was released in America in the year 2000. So they've actually had 3 celebrations of 20 years of this album being released.
Yeah, nice. He was also touring support band for Kirsty MacColl and for Radiohead as well. Yes. in that period prior to him kind of break. And apparently this my notes, White Ladder introduced his now trademark folktronic sound, which is kind of quite cute, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, folktronic. A man with a ukulele or a guitar with a drum machine.
Well, yes.
I've never heard that before nowadays. There's so many of it.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? Because that whole kind of recording in the bedroom type thing was quite a new thing, wasn't it? You know, demos tended to be a studio thing, and there were not many people that were doing this kind of little bit of home recording to have that very lean sort of sound.
Well, they was having that lean sound simply due to the fact they had no money. Being dropped by his label, 2 labels he had been dropped by through his previous albums. His 3rd album, Sell, didn't sell. So basically, the record label at the time dropped him, and he was just scraping for money to get this. And after he'd been studying at Liverpool Art University, he was selling artwork to try and fund the making of this album. And this is what had happened. So in a bedroom, making this album. And it was basically a case of, this is the last throw of the dice with this album. If we don't do it, we'll give up.
Yeah, if I don't do it, I'll do like my namesake and go into social media. So I mean, we said this obviously off air. First time ever I've been able to use my name, because David Gray, Adam Gray, kind of same sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, not related though.
No, sadly not.
No.
Although you know, as you said, he kind of disappeared after this. And although his other albums were, you know, they were reasonably commercially successful, he didn't ever scale these heights again, did he?
No. Far from it, I think. But if you read his interviews, what he does, he is a bit of a reluctant pop star anyway. He doesn't like being in this circle. He doesn't like being called a pop star. He enjoys the anonymity a bit, but he enjoys just producing music. Whether people like it or not, that's up for others to decide. He just likes to make the music.
Yeah. So in the notes that I downloaded, it says throughout this album, he effortlessly blends elements of folk, rock, and electronic music, creating a unique sonic landscape. Tracks like Sail Away and This Year's Love showcase his ability to craft beautiful melodies and create a sense of intimacy that draws in the listener. What sets White Ladder apart is its ability to evoke a wide range of emotions, from the melancholy Say Hello, Wave Goodbye to the uplifting My Oh My. Gray takes the listener on an emotional roller coaster, leaving a lasting impact. And I think that's probably a fair sum up, isn't it? Because although if you'd have said David Gray, White Ladder, I would say, yeah, I knew the album. And if you'd have said, name some of the songs from it, no, I might have got Babylon, I might not have done. I probably wouldn't have got any more than that. And if you'd have said sing any of them, no, not a chance. Not a chance. Wouldn't have been able to remember them. So, actually, it was really interesting revisiting the album again, because I realised just how well I did know the album and how much I had forgotten the album, because I literally haven't listened to it at all for 25 years.
Same here. I mean, when I was looking at suggestions for albums, I was looking for albums that you had done a lot of rock albums, so of that nature. So I was looking for something slightly different. The suggestion was obviously David Gray or Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I thought, let's go David Gray, because it's when you listen to the album like we have done, for myself, I was very surprised how quick I remembered the lyrics.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was like, yeah, I can remember that. And it just came back, flooding back to me very quickly. And it was just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. So let's have a bit of music. So first track, Please Forgive Me. He said this hit him in a flash of inspiration. He wrote this song from start to finish in about 40 minutes. He said, those words were hitting me so hard that as I was writing them, I had tears in my eyes at times. And yet at the same time, the objective part of me was going, don't blow it, stay on it, don't overdo it. So he recorded this in his home studio using a Roland Groove Box to supply the beats. The device had come on the market in 1996, so its sounds and stylings were fresh. Yeah, here we go.
Forgive me if I act a little strange, for I know not what I do. Feels like lightning running through my veins every time I look at you. Every time I look at you.
It's amazing, isn't it, when you listen to this, how many different influences you can hear going on. So, there's a bit of Peter Gabriel in there. There's a bit of traditional kind of rocky, almost funky drummer in the rhythm, but not quite funky drummer.
There's the funky drummer, and I think you've taken it from there. It's just because we're experimenting so much with this machine, because they wanted a sound that was slightly different for them, contained with that. But as you said, Peter Gabriel, Van Morrison, Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
There's definitely the feelings of folk music within that. And that seems to be the whole theme of the album. Opening his soul, opening his heart. And that's, again, it's something we'd never seen before at the albums that time.
Yeah. So he said about this song, he said, there's nothing to Please Forgive Me. It doesn't even have a chorus. It's just a straight line, really. But it blooms at the end when the voice stops and the music fills the space. Yeah, it's a really nice intro to the album, and it does set this kind of scene for the whole album, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sets it up where it's a fresh enough song that, as I said, we've never heard anything like this before, and it gives us an indoor way to the rest of the album and what he themes the whole album are about.
And I guess that to a certain extent that is simultaneously one of the strengths and the weaknesses of the album. It's got a very strong theme and a very strong style, but there isn't a huge amount of variation. Nope. The songs are very, it's a bit trite to say samey, because there is some difference, but there's not a huge kind of gulf, is there, between one song?
No. It's different songs, but on a theme. It's just different variations, really, of a theme. That is, well, you do get that with some other artists, quite a lot of different artists, but for this one, it's just, at times, it can be a bit repetitive.
Yeah. So track 2, Babylon. one of his most famous songs, his big hit from the album, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is the song that made him. I mean, as he said, I listened to an interview with him. He was actually said this was a song that somebody else heard. The A&R man at Warner at the time, he knew there was something within this song. He didn't know what, but he was willing to take a chance in this song.
Yeah. So he was 30 when the album came out, and he was married, and he was writing in a character rather than true life experience. And some of the notes I've got on this, Babylon is a great word to sing and loaded with historical significance. The ancient Babylon was a major city in Mesopotamia, located in what is now Iraq. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon are one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. But in the context of this song, it refers to London, which in Victorian times was considered a modern-day Babylon. About this, he says, it's a London record. The whole of White Ladder is, and that's a London song. So rather than saying London, I said Babylon. It fitted, basically, and often you just have to say something because it fits the song. And I was then panicked. What does Babylon even mean? I started looking it up in dictionaries, and I even rang my father-in-law, who was a very knowledgeable man, and said London was called Babylon. Yes, Dave, don't worry. That's true. So, it's kind of quite nice that he sort of fell into this song. But yeah, this is that's nice if you got something to share with the kids with this, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it is. One of the nice things about this is that there's nothing aggressive about it. There's no screaming and shouting. There's no swearing. It's a very family friendly, gentle. It's kind of like a Sunday afternoon listen, isn't it? Really.
It's one of those albums you could put on when you have a family drive in the car. And everybody will be, okay, that's fine. Instead of everybody squabbling about what they're going to listen to, or everybody puts on their headphones, everyone will listen to this album.
Yeah, so here we go.
Friday night, I'm going nowhere. All the lights are changing, green to red. Turning on the TV station, situations running through my head. Looking back through time, it's clear that I've been blind, I've been a fool. To open up my heart to all that jealousy, that bitterness, that ridicule. Saturday,
I think what's really interesting about his songwriting is that the opening of, forgetting the instrumentation and the harmonies and stuff, but the way the lyrics work, the opening of all of his songs is pretty much identical.
Yeah.
And then when you get to with it, it's that kind of just that flowing, and there's no strong rhythm to the words. So it's not like the words perfectly fit the beats of each of the musical phrases. It's almost like he's talking over it, although he is singing a melody. It's almost like he's talking over it. And then it only really comes to life with the next kind of phrase, doesn't it? The chorus. So we've got another one of those. And then we've got that, and if you want it, come and get it bit, where the song kind of really comes to life. But it's really interesting that he doesn't overdo that. He doesn't kind of stay in that space. He goes back to the previous bit again, and then has some more of that kind of just relaxing chat almost.
Yeah, he seems to be, he doesn't force it. He doesn't force the lyrics through. And as you said, it seems it could be spoken word.
Yeah.
What he's going through. And it feels that, and it's, as I said, it's very folk music type of what he enjoys, what he likes to put out there. And he does that a lot. And that's in Ireland, where he was based for quite a lot of years, in his early years. And this is the circles he was in at the time, and he was feeling that as well. Because there is that argument of what nationality he is. because he was born in England but brought up in Wales and did his music in Ireland. So everybody thought, oh, you're Irishman, you're a Welshman. He goes, no, I'm an Englishman. He keeps promoting that, saying that.
Yeah. Well, let's have the next phrase and then go on to the chorus.
I'm running wild and all the lights are changing red to green. Moving through the crowds, I'm pushing chemicals and rushing in my bloodstream. Only wish that you were here, you know I'm seeing it so clear. I've been afraid to show you how I really feel. Admit to some of those bad mistakes I've made. And if you want it, come and get it, crying out loud. The love that I was giving you was never end down. Let go of your heart, let go of your head, and fail it now. Let go of your heart, let go of your head, and fail it now.
Lovely. I mean, you could listen to this all day, couldn't you? It's just very, very easy.
Yeah, it's you don't. There's nothing like you've got to be. You can actually switch it off, keep it background music, and you'd be fine. But then you would also find yourself singing along to it.
I mean, I do think it's amazing that this was commercially so successful because it's none of the songs. I mean, nowadays every song gets going in the first 10 seconds. And if you don't like what happens in the first 10 seconds, you basically turn it off and skip to the next. And here, none of his songs get going for well over a minute, do they? So it's asking quite a lot of the casual listener to persevere with the song, to get to the juicy bits.
But then that breaks down to the whole album itself and its journey it took to become successful. I mean, released in 1988, it's just slow bound. And as I said, if he didn't make it this time, he wasn't ever going to make it. And this comes back to persistence. It really does.
Yeah. So track 3, My Oh My. I must say that I found this a bit dull at the beginning, and it's not until it gets to that It Takes a Lot of Love bit that it really starts to get into its stride. So.
Sounds like an Oasis song.
It does a little bit, doesn't it? Yes.
What on earth is going on in my heart? There's a tub as cold as stone. It seems these days I don't feel anything unless it cuts me right down to the bone. What on earth is going on in my heart? 'Cause my oh my, you know, just don't stop. It's in my mind, I wanna tear it up. I'm trying to fight it, trying to turn it off, but it's not enough.
So you could easily have skipped by the time you got to this next phrase, couldn't you? Which is, when you get here, it's like, right, okay, now I get it. Now I get it.
It takes a lot of love. It takes a lot of love, my friend, to keep our heart from freezing and push on till the end. My, what on earth is going?
Yeah. Again, it's.
I definitely think, I mean, if he was to try and release this album now, it would have missed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because people's attention spans would have done it. And I think he hit it at the right time. It's all about time.
Yeah. And I think that this is very much of the period. Like you said, you know, there was lots of good music around at this time. You know, there'd been a resurgence, a renaissance of British music. that was kind of conquering the world, and there was lots of good stuff out there. And maybe because of that, the fact that this was not the norm is absolutely why this was so engaging for the audience. I was going to say so successful because actually, like you said, it wasn't that successful to begin with, but it ultimately was so successful. So we're not right. I don't mean we're not right. I mean we're, but it's and what I thought was really interesting about this was there's that that distorted kind of kick drum at the start, and I thought that is exactly the same effect that is used in "Forever in My Life," Prince. So and I couldn't kind of get away from that princiness of that particular sound.
Yes.
But again, you know, and this is again for me another song that kind of it needs to get going, and that seems to be a theme for me on this album.
Because it was just himself and his producer and his drummer as well, and then this, I think they were, because they had this drum machine, they were using it as a toy, getting as much out as they could, especially when it's like recording it in the bedrooms and hearing the traffic going by. And he said that some of the songs, they actually hear the traffic going by because they had to record it during the daytime. They couldn't record it at night because he was waking up his neighbors.
yeah, absolutely.
So it was just one of those, this is what they've got to do. So we have to make it go. So they were using this drum machine as much as they could. And as you said, has to kick in for everybody to get that hook.
So here we go.
Feel the way that they passing time, all these crazy faces run through my mind, and this song is brought a tear to my eye. We can't tell the bottle from the mountain top, no, we're not right. I see this world, but I can't relate it. Everything must accelerate, ready for the won't you be my Valentine? We can't tell the bottle from the mountain top, no, we're not right. We can't tell the bottle from the mountain top. Now my hands are shaking, but I just...
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. Definitely Paul Simony, that particular bit. It's a really interesting album because there's nothing on this album that I don't like, but the bits that I absolutely love are quite limited. You know, there's one or two great songs, but even those songs are not like, okay, this is going to be, none of these would be in my top 10 list of songs. Although it's an album that even on Spotify, you wouldn't skip through. You would listen to the whole thing, which makes it quite a unique proposition, I think, really, doesn't it?
It's an album you can't skip. I mean, there's albums you'll listen to and you'll go, oh, I don't want to hear that one. You'll skip a track. This album, you have to hear it whole to get the whole feel of it. And if you miss a track, it's like missing a TV program. If you don't get the whole story of it, if you skip it.
So that brings us on to Night Blindness. So this again is another kind of gentle start in typical David Gray style, but the way it morphs into that, it's not exactly chorus hook type thing where he goes, we're going to find the eyes to see a brighter day, is just delightful. And I think that what's really interesting is that he seems to be quite formulaic in terms of how he lays the songs out, and each song has a surprise in it or a flash of brilliance in it that I find really engaging.
Yeah, I think it also comes down to these songs seem so personal as well that it engages the listener. And you feel it could be about
Yeah.
you when you listen to it.
Yeah, so here we go, night blindness.
A million to one outside this night blindness can't see. Your bright eyes are what the time is 25 past eternity. Here listening to the siren.
It is only just occurred to me when I was playing that then and I was listening to it, I was thinking to myself, if you took David Gray's work and you removed all of those bits of inspiration, all of those islands of brilliance and those bits of surprise from there, what you'd be left with would be Ed Sheeran, wouldn't it?
Well, David Gray has actually said that. He's actually said that. If it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have Ed Sheeran. Who else would you not have? So many others. He says that's inspired by him. James Blunt, James Morrison, so many others that have similar sort of views.
Coming closer, now further away. What we gonna do when the money runs out? I wish that there was something left to say. Where we gonna find the eyes to see a brighter day?
See, he should have done more with that, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
He should have made more of that, because how it morphed from that kind of just his vocals kind of almost monotone, and then it kind of expanded to that. Let's have that little bit again, because I just think that was such a missed opportunity. Yeah.
Where we gonna find the eyes to see a brighter day?
He should have at least had A Brighter Day twice, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
Because that was such a lovely flow from that kind of.
Yeah, you should have had a bigger crescendo with it to lift it up there and really get everybody hooked around and sync up with it. That would have just been icing on the cake.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, I think that, like we said, this is a really relaxing listen. You know, if it was all crash, boom, bang, you know, you'd be up bopping around, and it's not that kind of music. It's you know, late at night with a glass of fine wine, isn't it? Sort of music.
It's definitely that. It's one to actually pours into your soul and then actually washes it clean.
Yeah. And again, you know, exactly this, and this has happened in it hasn't happened in actually Babylon, but it's happened in every other song where there's that kind of very gentle start and then that little gem in the middle of it. And this next one, Silver Lining, exactly the same. You know, that gentle thing surges, and then that inspired kind of hook. We were born with our eyes wide open, so alive with wild hope now. Just delightful.
Yeah, beautiful lyrics.
Yeah, so here we go.
Take yourself alive and keep it in the road, sweet Haley, and shining when the night is turning red. Shining in the twilight, shining on the cold, cold ground. Shining till these walls come tumbling down. We were born with eyes wide open, so alive with wild hope. Now, can you tell me why? Time after time, they drag you down.
One of the best songs on here, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. You can just see everybody swear from side to side in his concert. Well, without the cigarette lighters now, it would be the flash cameras and the lights and everything. It's just one of the best ones on this album. But as you said about Babylon, it's how that's different. That just seemed to be the commercial hit to hook everyone in. And as you said, every other song has a similar theme. But Babylon has that different one. And this one, it's just velvet.
Yeah.
It's just velvet.
So on to the title song. Definite traces of Manic Street Preachers in this, I thought.
A quiet Manic Street Preachers, yeah.
Not quite so manic. Relaxed Street Preachers. Yeah, I mean, a great song. This doesn't have that kind of gem in the middle, but it's catchier than the others from the start, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a kick. I mean, one of the faster paced tracks on the album. I mean, kicks in there right from the start. It's not that slow melodic build up. It kicks off right away as the title track is usually doing.
There's no rhyme or reason to love this sweet love. Wherever
yeah, nice. If there were to be a low point for me on the album, this would be it.
It's definitely a filler.
Yeah, it's a little bit nondescript, but the next one, This Year's Love, I've got 2 words. I mean, I've got loads of kind of stuff, but 2 words to comment: simply beautiful.
It's the song that couples will play at a wedding, so they will dance to it. So it'll be their first song, their first dance, but it'll also be the guy that's half drunk in the corner and he's Mrs. is buggered off with the best man, crying. He said, "Oh."
Yeah, well, it's funny that we mentioned Ed Sheeran earlier, because Ed Sheeran, in my notes, it says Ed Sheeran is one of the many artists to employ the stripped-down home recording method Gray innovated on White Ladder. Speaking on Gray's YouTube channel, Sheeran said, "This Year's Love is one of the best songs I've ever heard. It revolves around just a few chords, but it's so heart-wrenchingly brilliant." And actually, much as I can't bear Ed Sheeran, not a lot more to say. That's just beautiful, isn't it?
It's stripped back. It's just so stripped back to raw emotion.
Yeah.
love it pitiless. Heaven knows it's high time. I've been waiting on my own too long. When you hold me like you do, it feels so right. Oh, now start to forget how my heart gets torn when that hurt gets thrown, feeling like you can't go on. Turning circles, time again, cut like a knife. Oh, now, if you love me, got to know.
It's just gorgeous, this, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous.
It does feel like a man there bearing his soul to let him feel where men don't actually talk about their emotions. This is a guy who did it at the first and he just bared his soul. And it touched everyone.
Yeah.
Especially this song.
Yeah. And I think that it's a really interesting album because there are a number of absolutely fantastic songs, and often what you see in albums, we've seen it with albums that you and I have covered, is that often all of the good songs are at the front of the album, and that isn't the case here. I mean, I think that generally speaking, the album gets better towards the end. I think it's. Should we have a bit more of that? Just love it.
Yes, please. Why not?
Sure. 'Cause it takes something more this time. Sweet, sweet lies are now. Oh, I open up my eyes and fall, losing all control. Every dream inside my soul. When you kiss me on the beach.
So this song soundtracks a key scene in the 2004 film The Girl Next Door, after a geeky kid named Matt brings a hot new girl home to a party. Bullies intervene. Matt decides to make his move and pushes the bully away from the girl to snatch a kiss. A number of movies also use this, and the Netflix series The Umbrella Academy, Man on the Moon in 2019, The Bachelor in 2012, Wimbledon in 2004, and Crazy Beautiful in 2001.
It was actually written for the film called This Year's Love, which David Gray was in.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. It's a British film, a British independent film, and they wanted to release this song at the same time. Who's actually in the film? Douglas Scott's actually in the film as well. So it was a little British film, but David Gray is actually in it, not stretching himself too far. He's playing a singer in a pub band.
Right. So autobiographical, really.
Yeah.
So although Babylon is the most popular song of his, This Year's Love has the highest number of streams on Spotify, which is, again, an interesting little vignette.
The whole album, I mean, okay, it sold over 3 million copies in the UK. It's the highest selling album in Ireland.
Is it really?
Yes. It's even sold more. He sold more albums than U2 in Ireland. It's just over 300,000.
Wow. I'm genuinely surprised he sold more albums than U2, because they're kind of like Irish royalty, aren't they?
Well, I'm surprised he sold more albums than the Pogues and the Dubliners.
And Van Morrison.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Yeah. Wow. I'm not surprised he sold more money than the Pogues. but yes. Which brings us on to Sail Away. In this song, David Gray offers a getaway, telling a lady he'd like to sail away with her, putting his heart in her hands He worked on this song over a number of years. So unlike one of the other ones, which was 40 minutes to write from start to finish, this was a number of years writing and discarding verses along the way. It's what he calls a Frankenstein song, because it was cobbled together from so many parts assembled at different times. Yeah, well, there we go.
He does that with a lot of his writing. I mean, he's picked up songs, even his later work, that has been brewing in the background for about 10, 20 years. So this is not something that's just picked up on that one track. He does this completely still now.
So it says here, this wasn't released as a single in America, but in the UK it was the 5th single from White Ladder. Gray had been dropped by his record label when he recorded this, so he issued it independently before it got picked up. It went platinum in America, but was especially popular in the UK and Ireland, where it's the best-selling album of all time. Well, there you go. Right, so here we go, Sail Away. This is outstanding as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sail away with me, honey, put my heart in your hand. Sail away with me, honey, now. Sail away with me, what will be will be. I wanna hold you now. Crazy skies are wild above me now. Winter howling at my face, and everything I held so dear disappeared without a trace. Oh, all the times I tasted love, never knew quite what I had. Little darling, did you hear me now? Never needed you so bad. Spinning round inside my head. Sail away with me, honey, I put my heart in your hand. Sail away with me, honey, now. Sail away with me, what will be.
I mean, I could literally just... Maybe we shouldn't have talked. Maybe we should have just switched the album on at the beginning and then gone off and had a cup of tea.
Yeah, well, that would have been good. Yeah. I mean, it's just so relaxing, the whole album. You just can just, as you said, listen to it and just quietly relax.
Yeah.
And you just switch off the world.
Just kind of washes over you, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Yeah, it's interesting because I say this on many shows. When you're listening to it for the week and then you come on the show and it's a different environment because you've got an audience, you've got a co-go, and you're listening to it again and you're hearing things for the first time. And I did really like this, but I kind of feel that I should like it more than I do.
Yes.
So much about it is great. There are so many elements of it where there are these flashes of genius in there, how he takes that kind of the dirge bit and then lifts it up with that crescendo and extra accompaniment and harmonization, and has those really and then it kind of just dies away again, and you kind of want more of it. And I think that in some ways it's so very disappointing because of that, because it's missing out on those bits that you go, that's the bit I want more of.
Yes, I want more of that. I want more of this. I want more of this. But it just gives you enough to want more. And this is maybe the hook that you're saying, that he pulls you into, I want to listen to the next song. I want to listen to the next song
Yeah, yeah.
because it gives you that just enough. But I think his voice is so distinctive as well with his songs. I mean, still that raspy, but it's so clear in what he wants to say, and it's not as though it's any of the lyrics that you misinterpret. You actually pick it up. It's very clear as day what he's singing, and then it's absolutely on the point where it's tugs at the heartstrings.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I was going to say brings us on to the last track. Sort of brings us onto the last track, which I thought this was a great end to the album. So the album has had these kind of it's been pretty relaxed all the way through. It's got these little pockets of kind of excitement. It's been pretty relaxed, and it sort of just gradually. It's like as if someone's very slowly turning the volume down, isn't it? And it kind of just eases out. And this is an enormously long track, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, about 9 minutes long.
Let me just. It is over 9 minutes long, and that's a massive. Just over 9 minutes long. Massive length of time for a song on a modern pop album. I say modern,
You'll only get songs at that length of time if it's on a Meatloaf album.
Yeah, which is something I can honestly say we're never going to be doing on this show. But I thought this was a really good end to the album.
It's a very brave end, picking on such an iconic song anyway. Everybody knew the song anyway, but to hear it in this way it's a fantastic song, a fantastic version of a fantastic song, done in such a way it gives it that different vibe to it.
Yeah, so here we go. Say hello, wave goodbye. That little intro guitar bit there has a definite bit of Lindisfarne about it, doesn't it? Sitting in a sleazy snack bar, supping sickly sausage rolls, or words to that effect.
Standing at the door of the pig flamingo crying in the rain. He was a kind of so love, and I'm gonna make sure it doesn't happen again. You and I had to be the standing joke of the year. You were a runaround, a lost and found, and that for me I feel. Take your hands off me. I don't belong to you. You say, take a look in my face for the last time. I never knew you, you never knew me.
So 9 minutes of that kind of lovely flowing, stripped back, simply appointed song. Lovely way to finish the album, and then silence, and then through to myself.
Yes.
Which kind of I didn't know what to make of this at all, because it's kind of so disjointed and different to everything else on the album, isn't it? This made me think of like the Clash, or a punk rock band. Even the lyrics, 3 tower blocks glinting in the midday sun, 2 ice cubes melting in a glass of white rum. You know, it's like you could imagine the Sex Pistols singing this, and it's got that very in-your-face kind of delivery, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's after what you've just heard for the last hour or so on the album, you then suddenly get this thrown at you, and you're like, wait a minute, what's happening? And it's so different from what it's already been done.
Yeah, and now I never bought this album on vinyl, so I wouldn't ever have experienced that kind of little and then this starting. But I guess you get the same thing with the CD, really, don't you? You know, you just get silence, and then all of a sudden it starts again. So Through to Myself.
Yeah, well, on the American version of it, they actually put this in the middle of the album.
Right.
Just because they knew that Americans wouldn't stay for that long. They would be on the next one.
Yeah. So here we go.
Tower blocks glinting in the midday sun. 2 ice cubes melting in a glass of white rum. It's full of places where I've never gone.
So who does that sound like? Because it's kind of like the Velvet Underground, isn't it?
I thought it was REO Speedwagon.
Right. Yeah. I can see that. I'll tell you who it doesn't sound like. David Gray. Yeah. The voice is different. The pace is different. The sound is different. The guitar is different. It's like everything is different about this. So it does make you ask, beg the question, why? Why would you do this?
It's just a head scratcher, especially with, as I said, definitely left behind in it. Yeah, Rob, definitely Lou Reed. There you go. It's definitely just something that's like so left field from the rest of the album. You go, why? As you said, why?
Yeah. So that's it. That's the end of the album. A peculiar end to, I guess, in many ways, what's quite a peculiar album. It's really nice, but
yeah, it's definitely one of those albums that if it came on, as you said, you wouldn't switch it off. But you're not going to look for it to put on.
Yeah, I think that not unless you were feeling particularly low, and you wanted to drown your sorrows. It's good. It's a good soundtrack to that, I think, because it's so relaxing. But I mean, I'm really glad you chose it because it was so not on my radar, and it's such an interesting album to do, and a really nice week of listening to it. Because sometimes somebody says, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this," and I'm sure I've done it to you. We're going to do this album, and you just go, "Oh shit, do we have to?" All right then. And this was not that at all. This was really, really pleasurable thing to listen to, and thank you.
No,
thank you very much indeed.
No, thank you. I mean, again, I enjoy this. I mean, it's good that we can relate to an album that comes out that we've all forgotten about, but it still sounds fresh.
It does. It's as relevant today as it was when it came out.
Without being too political.
Yeah. So, Andrew, Babylon Andrew, thank you so much. A great album, great co-host as always. Next week, I think it's going to be my friend Peter Swanson, who will be, I don't know what album we're going to be doing yet, but I shall look forward to doing that. And thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everybody in the audience. Thank you, Rob, for all your comments. And see you all.